Moved by Councillor Laframboise and seconded by Councillor Pelletier. Be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby opens the regular meeting of Council at 6 p.m. on February 18, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried. All members of council are present today. Indigenous. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Robertson Huron Treaty Territory, and the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Atikameksheng Anishinaabe. We also wish to recognize our neighboring community of Dokis First Nation. While we meet today, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of lands we each call home. We do this to reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and to improving our own understanding of local Indigenous people and their culture. Can I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda? Councillor Loftus and Councillor Lachance.
Moved by Councillor Loftus and seconded by Councillor Lachance. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of Council held February 18, 2026 be adopted as presented.
All those in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. Councillor Laframboise.
None, Your Worship.
Councillor Loftus.
None, Your Worship.
Councillor Pelletier.
None, Your Worship.
Councillor Lachance.
None, Your Worship.
And none for myself. Okay, this evening we have a presentation. Okay, I forget this. Sorry. Anybody have any announcements?
None for myself.
No? Okay. Thank
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah, just wanted to reach out, say congratulations to Minor Hockey Association for throwing another successful family tournament, and send my gratitude to the Public Works staff and our office staff for having a seamless event and for all of their hard work throughout the weekend.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Lachance. Our first presentation tonight is from Citywide Inc. Regarding asset management, and it will be presented by Mike Bly. Is Mike on the... All right, good evening.
Good evening. I'm here. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
Yes? Okay. I will try to share my screen here. Are you able to see my screen? Yeah. That's true.
We see the screen. Sometimes you come out choppy. We'll let you know if we miss something.
Okay. If that continues, I will change up the mic that I'm using. Sometimes this headset comes through a little broken, so.
Okay.
All right, well, so good evening. Thank you for inviting me tonight. As mentioned, my name is Mike Bly, and I've been working with the municipality of St. Charles for the past about a year and a half or so to develop a 2025 full rate compliant asset management plan. And the intent tonight is to go through the high level highlights of that plan. So first off, I just want to give a shout out and acknowledgement and thank you to staff for their time and energy over the past 18 months or almost 2 years even. Working through these asset management plans is no easy feat. There's a lot of data work, a lot of digging and research that needs to go on to try and come up with some valuable numbers. So thank you to Pamela, Michelle, and Denis for their efforts. So just before we jump into the highlights, just a quick overview, I guess, of asset management. Why do we do this? Why do we go through this headache and effort? Really, this is about the municipality having a meaningful way to organize what we own, right? What services do you provide? What assets do you own in order to provide that service? And understanding these services in a much deeper way. And at the end of the day, we're assuring accountability to the residents and stakeholders for these services that are provided. When we think about asset management, it's much more complex than this graph shows, but really when we get down to the root of it, you're providing a level of service. And when we provide that level of service, there's three things we're looking at. What is the performance? Well, primarily, what is the cost of the service? And what is the performance and risk associated with that? And on any one of these three values, if you will, we have an impact on the other, right? So if we increase investment, ideally we'd be increasing performance or condition, or increasing the level of service and reducing our risk. On the flip side of that, if we're not investing appropriately or we're not investing enough, we potentially increase our risk and of course reduce our performance or that expected level of service. Why are we here? OREG is a big part of the reason why we're doing this. With this AMP, the municipality is now OREG compliant. This is adopted and posted to the website. You're now in full compliance. The 2025 AMP is a extension of 2024 AMP, where in the 24 was a overall focus on current levels of service. 2025 we look at proposed levels of service. So where are we today, and where would we like to be in the future? So after this, what comes next with the OREGs? Well, after this AMP, municipalities are required to update their asset management plans at least 5 years. Municipal council shall conduct an annual review of its asset management progress on or before July 1st. So we recommend you're getting together, doing the AMP, you're talking about progress and seeing where you're at. And of course, the asset management policy and plan should be posted to the municipal website in order to be compliant. So for this AMP, we use a 2024 year end. And so we'll look at what is the current state of the municipal infrastructure. We'll talk at the end about what improvements can be made to increase confidence in the analysis, to increase confidence in the data that we have to make these decisions. And then we look at the financial capacity to meet these long-term capital requirements. So what is required to get to that proposed level of service? So what is the current state? So when we look at the asset portfolio today, we break it down into these categories. So you have buildings, road network, your wastewater, storm, machine equipment vehicles, land improvements, and of course bridges and culverts, with a total replacement value of $43 million. How do we get these replacement costs? So here we show by asset category and how these replacement costs were determined. You can see the majority use CPI, so your consumer price index, so inflation. So either inflating past replacement costs or inflating historical costs. And vehicles, the only category that has user-defined costs. So costs that are, well, user-defined, say we know this truck costs $80,000. Ideally, in a perfect world, we could have user-defined costs across them more accurate. Inflation tends to undervalue assets, especially higher value assets over a long period of time. What is the current condition? So here you see it broken down quite evenly actually across your portfolio. So you got 14% in very good condition, 20% in very poor condition, 25% in poor, 60% fair, 24% in good. And it's important to keep in mind this is not based, this is a cost weighted, a replacement value weighted rating. So the higher a value, replacement value an asset carries, the more weighting it receives. Where these 90% of these 90% of these conditions are based on engineering and desktop assessments. So what does that mean? You may have reports available that said, here's what this condition of this asset is, or you have staff knowledge saying, we work on these assets every day, we maintain them, we understand their performance, and they provide their expertise on current performance. Here we break that down into the different asset categories. Here you can see, so red being very poor, orange, yellow colored poor, and on the flip side, green being very good. So 54% of the assets are considered fair or better condition. All right, so why is assessed condition important? Oftentimes we see age-based condition being used where an asset is put into service. It's going to be useful life, 25 years, while by year 20 is considered to be a very poor condition. it doesn't account for any interventions that have been done. And so we know a road, for example, we maintain it. There's interventions, there's activities you do that increase the life, or extend the life, or increase the condition of that asset. And so it's very important to get this actual performance-based condition information to better inform, obviously, the performance of your asset, and not just assume, old means, bad condition. With that, we get much better information. We have a better data informing our risk, better data informing what interventions are needed and when. And of course, that all comes down to more accurate prediction of future expenses. So here, when we look at we get into the financial setting, we start talking about how do we come up with these forecasts, which we're going to show in a couple slides here. Basically, there's two ways to do it. We have end-of-life scenarios, which is what I just mentioned, where we talk about the assumption that assets put in service, we're going to do nothing, it's got a 25-year life, we're just going to replace it at end of life. Alternatively, and you may not have this slide, I just threw this in here tonight because I realized I missed it, but when we build life cycle strategies, and I pick on the road because they're an easy one to do that with, we can say a road can have a 20-year life, but in year 15, we're going to do a major, we're going to do an overlay, and we're going to bring that back up to 100, and it'll start to deteriorate again, and then we're going to do a rehabilitation. So what we see is these timely interventions, it actually extends the life of that asset out to potentially 60 years, and your actual annual cost will decrease. And so these strategies are something, obviously, we recommend that you look at developing with what resources you have, versus just an end of life in a more reactive approach. And with this methodology, we can better understand or anticipate future costs. So, what is a forecasted capital requirement? So this graph shows a 75-year time period, and we've got it in 5-year blocks. So we look at 75 years, not because we can predict 75 years in the future exactly how things are going to be, but this is intended to capture a full life cycle of your longest lived assets, right? You have 5-year assets to 75, even 80-year assets, right? Pipes in the ground. So here you see some, a substantial peak in the next 5 years here, and then you see it settle down and go down, and you see another cycle come into play. So on average, your current needs, 1.1 million is the average annual requirement. And that's when you see that red line there. So that is the average amount that should be allocated, whether that's into reserves, direct spend through capital budget, etc., to fund the forecasted needs of these assets. When you see big spikes like this 15.5 million, why does that happen? Probably because of age-based condition versus actual condition assessments. And so this, to me, when we see large spikes like this, is a red flag, if you will, for a municipality to look at these assets and go, okay, what's actually going on here? Is our data correct? Do we have high confidence in this, or do we need to have a deeper look into this and see, is this real, right? Because there's numbers, especially for a smaller municipality. All right, so proposed levels of service, the 2025 AMP. So current level of service, of course, looks at what are we doing today, what have we done in the past. Proposed level of service is looking at what do we want to do in the future. OBREC doesn't talk about what level of service metrics must be defined, what targets you should be setting. They're very specific to every community is different. So these are very specific to what your resident demands are, what your path is, what your strategic political goals, so what's that strategic vision, and how do all these align together. And of course, the financial capacity, can we afford it? So, what is the process we went through in this case? So we looked at the previous AMP, we looked at the current levels of service, what are the current conditions, what's the current investment, items like that. And we conducted a survey with staff, and then we reviewed those results with staff as well. So the level of service, the input, and the views and opinions, I guess, of staff. And at the are these levels of service appropriate? Are they acceptable? Is the funding, is it sufficient? How do we feel about how these services are performing and our ability to provide that service? From that, we looked at a couple of different approaches to proposal of service, financial based or condition based. And so really the difference with that is financial based, we look at what's the current funding level and do we have what we need. The condition approach that perhaps setting targets, if we want to keep our roads at a 60% condition on average over a longer period of time, what is the financial requirement to get there? Can we afford that? We have the resources in place to do so. In the end, we looked at a financial-based method. We looked at 3 different scenarios. So we looked at your current funding levels and what is it going to take to get to that 100% level. And then we compare a 75% and a 50% funding level. And the reason for that is, look at, obviously 100% funding is that ideal level of money that we would like to have. But if that isn't achievable, what does 75% look like? What does 50% look like? And the reason for that is to put us on that right track of increasing those funding levels, trying to manage and balance, the financial burden that comes with, but also looking at the risks that come with that as well. And so in the end, the recommendation of the AMP is 100% funding level. The funding levels right now, if we are taxes are at 48% funded, tax funded assets are at 48% funded, which is a pretty good position to be in. And to get there to the 100%, it's very feasible within a 10-year period, which is a good position to be in. So what are the pros and cons to each of these? Well, of course, scenario 1, 100% funding on that full funding trajectory, right? You're on that clear path, it's gradual rate increases, but you're setting yourselves up for a sustainable future. If there's a con to the 100% funding, we look at the time period. Of course, 10 years is not that long of a period, but any delay in ramp up just creates more opportunity for investment delays. You guys see further asset deterioration, etc. And of course, with the next 2 scenarios, if we're underfunding the need, of course, the tax rate or the user rate, that burden is lessened on the resident or the ratepayer. But of course, you see a backlog increase. And the less we fund, the more reliance on grant funding, external funding sources are likely to be there, which creates a lot of uncertainty for future funding and ability to invest in these assets. So, in the AMP, you'll see for each asset category graphs such as this. And this is just one example using the road network, where we look at what is the impact of these different funding levels. For this AMP, we put all the asset data into our citywide software, which gives us the ability to model this, putting in the different funding levels, looking at the current condition, looking at the life cycle strategies, and projecting out what is the impact these different funding levels would have. So here you see 100% funding target requires an investment of $331,000 per year, 75% at $248 per year, and a 50% target would be $166 per year. And here you see your starting condition at about just under that 30% mark. And of course, with the 100% funding, you see almost immediate, in the next couple of years, the ability to start spending as that investment increases, bringing your condition up. And you see an average condition just sitting under that 40% mark. Now, it is important when we look at this, oftentimes there's a question of, well, if we spend 100% of invest 100% of what we need, we should see 100% condition. 100% doesn't equal 100%. There are limitations on the data, there's limitations on the strategies. So if the strategy that's in place to feed these models doesn't get you to that 100%, right? That's where the takeaway from here is to look at these strategies, refine these strategies, and what can we do to get to a higher condition should we want to. Okay, so the financial strategy. This is an extra slide I threw in here 5 minutes before we started because I realized I didn't have it. Maybe you might want to see this. So here's your annual capital requirements for your tax funded and rate funded assets, $5.6 million. Current funding available, $568,000, which, and the deficit then is $568,000 as well. And here we see that currently, based on the current values, you're funding it just under 49% for your TAC funded needs and just under 61% for your rate funded. It's important to note, this only includes these sustainable funding sources in the note there.
Just to let you know, you break up a bit more substantially at certain times. Like this slide, you broke up quite a bit. I don't know if you said there was a change you could do.
Hey, if you give me 30 seconds, I'll see if I can adjust this for you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. How about that? Can you hear me better now or at all?
I think so.
You think so?
Yep.
Alright, let's get rid of this thing for now. See if that works out better. Alright, so does this slide need to be gone over again, or did that come through here?
I think we got the gist of it with the words, but
Okay.
we're good.
Okay. Alright, so the financial strategy, the proposed level of service. So through the conversations, the scenario one was selected and modeled to achieve the proposed level of service, which scenario one, 100% funding, 1.7% annual tax increase over a 10-year period, so 1.7 per year for 10 years would close that funding gap. On the rate side, a 2.7% increase would be required. It is important to note when we talk about these numbers that we are not including inflationary values. We're not talking about operational budget, any of those items. So this is 1.7 just to fund the forecasted capital needs. And of course, the other two scenarios, you see the corresponding percentage increases drop accordingly. All right, so this is just a basic graph to show you that trajectory over the 10-year period. Looking to get to that $1 million for the tax funded assets. And then the second graph here, shows, of course, for the wastewater side, in that 10-year period achieving that average annual requirement. Now, these values are today value. And so these numbers should be reviewed, adjusted accordingly on an annual basis at least, because we know costs change, assets come and go, and things happen too. There's unexpected that come up for maintenance and repair and replacements, etc. All right, so recommendations and next steps. So we talk about policy and governance. We talk about strengthening data. These values, this analysis, these recommendations rely heavily on the data that's available, right? So keeping that data current is critical to ensuring that we have good, reliable data. And the more we can update that, revise that, track that, we're going to get a higher degree of confidence in the data over time. How do we do that? We talk about the asset inventory and the data. So one of the recommendations here is to consider the implementation of a centralized asset management system or process, right? What does that allow us to do? It allows municipality to do continuous data improvements, and again, increase the confidence in the data and keep it current and relevant. You know, in 5 years' time, when it comes to updating the requirement to update these AMPs again, if the data is now 5 years sitting on the shelf, there'll be a substantial effort required to bring that data up to date to develop that next AMP. If the tools and resources are in place to allow those updates on an annual basis, be in a much better position. We talked about the importance of condition assessments versus aid-based assessments. So consider dedicating funding in the budget for development and implementation of a condition assessment program, whether that's something that can be developed in-house, whether you need external help with that, with engineering firm, consulting firms, etc. It's considering a process to be put in place. We look at our major assets and do we understand their actual current performance. And of course, regularly update this asset data. Replacement costs, you know, when you have major capital projects that are completed, you know, again, keep picking on roads, update the replacement cost for the rest of these assets based on those current day values. In continuous improvement and regular review, like I mentioned just a bit ago, we talk about it being a living document. This isn't a one and done, or should not be treated as a one and done. This information is today's best data, best analysis. It changes, so we need to be reviewing this data on a regular basis, updating replacement costs, looking at condition, updating our inventory. Is it accurate? Do we actually have these assets? Are there assets we're not accounting for? And then, so again, there's that funding piece we talked about, capital operating budget, including funding for the assessment of assets to help update future iterations of this plan. And so a big part of this is adopting internal policy, processes, governance, strategy, et cetera, to develop an in-house process. How are we going to continuously review, update, and refine this information? So next steps. So of course, review and consider the findings of this AMP. Ideally, if we're doing it really well, the confidence in these AMPs, the confidence in these values will increase, and they should be a front and center tool for you during budget deliberations to understand what are our needs, what are our performance, and how do we prioritize our projects. And the second next step there, more of a recommendation, is what supports does administration need to have in place in order to improve this information, to improve these documents and analysis? We talked about centralized systems. Maybe there's some external consulting work that needs to be done for building condition assessments or road need studies, etc. This is a substantial undertaking to develop these asset inventories, to maintain these inventories. And so having that conversation with administration, what supports are needed? Is it staffing? Is it, of course, it's always a dollar amount attached to it. What funding do you need? How do we make good forward progress? And of course, we talked about regular review a couple of times, so and including reporting to council. So getting together with administration and council, talking about the progress of asset management. Where are our gaps? Where are our easy wins to make good improvements and be going in the right direction? Just a note at the bottom there, we mentioned for ORA, of course, the next iteration of an AMP will be due in 2030, as per the 588.17 requirements. So with that was a high-level overview of the current condition, current values, the proposal of service, and how we landed on the scenario that we did, and some recommendations and next steps. So certainly open to any questions you might have, and do my best to try and answer.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Councillor Framboise?
None for myself.
Councillor Loftus?
I'm just wondering, I don't know if could be directed to Pam or to him. Currently, our annual tax increase for scenario 1 to proposed level of service, I'm just wondering, it says 1.7 to maintain that. What is our current rate that we're charging the ratepayers right now?
1.9, so we would do a slight decrease than what we have been.
So, okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Patsy?
No, there's definitely a lot of documentation to go through, and I think this gives us a lot of stuff to look at for the next, on foreseeable future anyways. Thank you.
All right, Councillor Lachance?
Yeah, I was just curious, the dollar amount that we have for machinery, equipment, and vehicles, to me seems like it might be just a touch low for replacement value of what we have in our fleet right now. Is that is it based off information provided from our departments, or is it accurate?
Accurate to the best of our ability. Some of the equipment we haven't replaced or can't get good cost, so what we've done is we know what we purchased it for, and like he was saying, we're using inflation, which sometimes inflation,
Lies.
right, something that was 100,000 5 years ago is now 200,000, but inflation hasn't caught up, so some of them might be out to date. So that's what he was talking about, instead of using CPI data to get that user defined data, where we actually getting quotes and saying, okay, it's actually 200,000. But a lot of like our infrastructure, like our water, wastewater, we've never had to replace it, so we don't know any cost, right? So we're just kind of using data from other municipalities that might have been replacing it, but a lot of that is also southern pricing, not northern rural pricing, so we all know that there's added costs to that too. So that's what he was saying is to get to the most reliant and best information, to constantly update it as much as you can. And it's always gonna be a living document, and we're unfortunately probably gonna always be behind, right? So if I update it today, tomorrow things might dramatically change and it's all out to date again.
What year is the information?
2024.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I don't have any questions per se. Like Councillor Putz said, there's lots of information for us to read, go through, and to be able to absorb it all and make sure we make the right decisions. So if that's the end of your presentation, I thank you very much. Is that it? It is.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So the next, I guess you're gonna be making a report for this, Pam?
Yeah, I can make a report and propose a resolution to officially adopt it so that it can be adopted and posted on the website so it
That's
can be
it.
compliant.
All right, thank you.
Got it memorized?
All 165 pages.
Yep. All right, next item, 4.11, report to council regarding the Orange Agreement for helipad. Prepared by Michelle. Is it yourself, Dennis, that's gonna discuss it?
I
Present it?
can. It's, so the operations of the helipad requires an agreement between Orange and the municipality in terms of maintenance, in terms of snow removal, proper insurance coverage, and who is responsible for what. This agreement has been going on for a long time. I remember the original ones came in, I think the grant funding was like $3,500. They increased it to $5,000, I think we are currently. That said, the discussion is, does it cover all full cost? It's a service to the municipality. In some years, especially when a lot of snow removal, there's a lot involved, and again, we have some maintenance to do on the pad. It comes out to a service to the community. So obviously, it's in the interest of everyone that there's an agreement in place so they can have a standard landing spot at the arena.
Okay. Any questions?
No, for myself.
Councillor
Not for
Loftus,
myself.
Councillor Putzi?
Do we ever get any like reports of like, I guess from Orange themselves, whether they're, you know, I'm assuming we do, if they have issues on?
So I can't speak for anything recently, but I have, oh, sorry.
Do you have a
They,
response?
they do annual inspections.
Oh, okay.
and
Everything
they,
works out pretty good.
And they communicate with the Director of Operations.
Perfect. I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
They come back with sometimes a list of things to change, and sometimes they change it themselves. Windsock lights are some of the, and then we did come out last time, and that's what I was gonna mention. There was garbage or debris or containers left back of the arena, and that was a point that was highlighted, that we cannot leave anything loose in the back of the arena. Otherwise, I guess the downwash from the lights would create a hazard. So those were part of inspections of last time.
Okay, perfect. No, that's good, just to make sure everything's all good and that, you know, I know there's trees in the area too there, so I'm sure they don't want them getting too tall.
Okay, Councillor Chance?
Yeah, my only questions come from, at the end, they have their Schedule A, description of subject lands. You know, it's, maybe it's just a basic, little drawing that they have for everyone. Doesn't look like it very much meets the description of the subject lands that we have on that drawing.
I
For
think
their
it's,
access easements and such.
I think it's a generic
Yeah.
layout of helipad.
The only thing that I have here, again, like we're putting easement there, and it was kind of discussed on a previous meeting, somewhat not to this fact, but as far as potentially needing to put some signage up to show that we have road that cannot be blocked to access the helipad, because we don't have that in place right now. That may be something that, again, funding wise, we probably something that could ask for one time just for assistance with purchase of those signs, because we should probably have some put in place there. Does that make sense?
Just to follow up with that, the director of operation has approached me with that, and signage would probably be one of those, because we do understand that there cannot be anything within the 100-foot radius. So there's probably going to be some changes made to make sure that that area is maintained clear.
And the easement, we still need to have access to get through the parking lot of the arena or on one side of the building that's designated.
Because between the arena and the ditch is 200 feet or 180 feet. So it's that entire width between the arena and the ditch.
Okay.
I know nobody parks there during the baseball tournament because that's the fly zone. Yeah, that'd be a concerning time too, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Any other comments, Councillor Chance?
No, that was it.
That was it. I also had a question regarding insurance and liability, and I mentioned it today to Tammy, and you sent it to the,
I did send the agreement off to the insurance company. Unfortunately, the girl that we deal with is away today, so I wasn't able to get the responses back.
yeah. So if it's an agreement, I think we should maybe delay this till we have the insurance information. I was trying to figure out, is this a typical like contract that they sign with every municipal? From what I understood, it's the one that we have always been signing, but is it the same one signed with everybody? Nobody's really sure of this. But I'm sure the insurance company would have dealt with more than one, and they would have maybe something to offer on that. And if there's no problem, obviously, with the insurance, it would obviously be a go, because as Dennis just said, it's a service to the municipality to have access to air ambulance, and it's obviously something we want to continue. Because as I was reading the contract, it seemed to state, in no way are they responsible for, it seemed to say a whole slew of things. And not being in the insurance business, I just wanted to have a second opinion. So we will, is it a motion you want me to?
Yeah,
Okay, before we get to the bylaws, I'll pass a motion, and we'll see what the vote comes out, to delay it until we have that information. And I believe there's no repercussions from them if we do? No, okay. All right, thank you very much.
I just wanted to make sure that our current agreement, that we're still good for 2026, right?
It-
Or is
there
it?
hasn't been any mention, yeah, that's what,
I
it
just
is
wanna
still.
make sure, like, if this not timing the fact that if we deny this right now or postpone it, that we're gonna be losing the services
No,
in the time being.
Yeah.
I
that's-
can communicate with them as well and just indicate that it will be
Was
signed
the
at
agreement
next-
due in December?
It was only received in February,
Okay, because they signed it in December, right?
but it was, yeah, they only sent it to me in February.
Okay, so you're gonna inform, if need be, we can deal with any emergency meeting if need be there, but hopefully not. Okay, thank you very much. Next item, 4.2. One, it's a report for voting, online and internet and telephone, prepared by Tammy.
So at our January meeting, council agreed to move forward with internet telephone voting. I had spoken to two separate companies about two separate providers. Lumi Global and IntelliVote. Both of them gave me a demo, and their proposals are attached. Lumi Global is their first, this is their first municipal Ontario election, but they have a lot of experience with elections for different companies, whatever, and overseas. IntelliVote has been around for quite a while, dealing with Ontario municipal elections. Killarney's used them for the last two elections. French River used them at their last election. Based on the numbers, to me, the biggest thing is the DataFix integration. DataFix is who we use to, it's our elections management software. So Elections Ontario has all the voters, but what happens is they integrate that into DataFix, and that's where we run through taking people off, updating our lists after the time with Elections Ontario is done. Because you can only add your name to Elections Ontario for a certain, to a certain amount of time. With DataFix, that integration is included in their price. And with Lumi, it was an additional $1,200. There's not a big difference in pricing between the two systems, but my recommendation is to go with IntelliVote, primarily with their longstanding service abilities in the area, and just that they have a better price at this point.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Framboise?
No, I'm in agreement with the recommended resolution.
Okay. Councillor Loftus?
Yeah, I'm also in agreement with the resolution.
Thank you. Councillor Pelletier?
The quote is based on 1,700 electors. Is that like a flat rate, I guess, or is that, or is
So
it gonna be a
seven-
different price at the end?
Yeah, so 1,700 electors is the number of electors that were registered at the last election. And IntelliVote used that number, which is probably the more accurate number.
Okay.
Whereas when Lumi quoted, they've used our population. To me, Lumi's
Yeah.
number is going to change because it is going to be based on your number of electors.
Perfect. Yeah, and, you know, for that reason as well, I'm also in favor of the recommended resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lachance?
Yeah, the only question I had is that I thought when this was proposed, we were closer to $5,000 mark for cost.
I believe I had said 6.
Was it
but-
6?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty close to what you thought it was gonna be, so. All right, no, I don't have any questions.
All right, thank you very much for that report. Next, we are at the consent agenda. If, is there anybody that believes there are items that they would like to have withdrawn? What is this?
Just one more release.
I forgot, oh, I forgot one. 4.31, I just skipped it, sorry. A report to council, school lease proposal, sorry, Dennis, I didn't want to skip your thunder there. Take it off, take it away.
Yeah, yes, your worship. This is long overdue. The school board only came back to me last week. The person that was in charge, Michel Seguin, had retired. There was a new staff that had come in. Unfortunately, he is off currently, so Michel Seguin was brought back in. So that is why it's so long overdue, because we started this right after we discussed, myself and the mayor, with the Conseil Scolaire. So they came back after all this time with basically, when we met them, we expressed our concern of the high cost and that we don't want to be renting the empty classrooms, and our only concern at this point was the library and how much it would cost for the library. So as you can see, through the phone conversation I was provided a proposed rate of lease for the remaining at the current square footage, which I did not include, but it's $2.85 per square foot. So they did a square foot measurement of the library, and they came out with a rental rate of $8,028.45. Like I said, this was verbal, so please forgive me if there's an error, but I asked them to repeat twice, and they were supposed to confirm in writing, but when I was doing this report, I did not get an update, and I didn't follow up. But anyways, this is as accurate as I can have it. And then they're proposing a $2,339 for cleaning of the common area. This would include the stairs, the washroom, and that would be their cleaning staff doing this. So that would bring the cost of maintaining the library at the school at somewhere just over $10,000. $10,367.74. Plus, obviously, this would increase with the annual CPI going forward. If we were to maintain the current structure, I did get an updated number from the treasurer at $26,734.58, plus the library cleaning. I did separate the library cleaning. Because obviously the new lease is, we still have to maintain the cleaning of the library. As far as I understand, it was our staff cleaning the library. So while he went there to clean the stairs, the washroom, he would also clean the library. So I'm gonna propose that as a second solution, second option for council. So the, obviously, by withdrawing our subleases and just keeping the library, we will see an immediate savings. And we will basically not lose any facilities for the library or room for the library. I did already forward the contact information. They're waiting for the council's response, but I did forward them the contact information for both ADFA and All Children All Future. As well as the contract information for the maintenance of the elevator, because that would all now be assumed by the school and part of the $2,000. So I did say that obviously this is a savings, and that I didn't want to assume council's decision, but they are expecting a change in the contract, which I will hopefully confirm with them tomorrow if council concurs. Secondly, well, there's two other options that council can discuss tonight or defer at a later time, but since we're talking the subject, is cleaning the library. Right now, our staff is displacing himself, moving to the school, but he has more to clean, stairs, washroom. Now just displacing staff to go to the library for vacuuming and dusting, there's maybe potential to transfer those tasks, as they don't involve chemicals, it's just simple sweeping and wiping of surfaces. Maybe transfer that to library staff and free up some time for our current staff that are, if we see them, we make them run around, and often we skip the cleaning in the office. Was part of last week, so we don't mind. They did the essential, took out the garbage, washing, the sweeping, washing of floors had to be skipped. This will give, I think I did the approximate hours.
1.5, I believe.
1.5 per day, 1.5 per week, is estimated for the library. It's not big, but it's still significant enough that the placement, equipment and stuff. So that's something council may discuss. At the end of the day, it's all about timing, and could let the director of operations maybe propose a different solutions with proper hours and different pressures. The one thing discussing with the director of operations, Starting this summer, we'll be cleaning a completely new facility or service, is the Sawmill Bay Park. There will be a garbage run. It may not be dirty, or it may be dirty, but it has to be somebody at least a couple times a week. M&R suggested heavily that we do it multiple times a week, because they have experience with their parks. As there'll be garbage. Somebody will leave garbage somewhere, has to be picked up, and if we want to maintain that park, we still have the same 2 staff. So this will free up some, like obviously there's a chunk of time that will be available, but the discounted cooperation is she will follow up with a needs assessment on staffing levels. This will definitely help, whether the library can remain with the current staff or we're still tight on time, we can delay that decision. And the other, and again, I always put this out there, we are paying somebody $10,000 to use a space where unfortunately we have like a building that has a lot of space, but it's not optimized for it. So should we be considering using our own buildings before renting out space? So I always encourage that we use our facilities 100% and maybe build upon it, because obviously even if it's 10,000 for the next 10 years, 100,000, it would serve better being invested in our buildings. But again, those are bigger decisions beyond tonight's school, but I always put it out there that should we continue with the library at the school, there's 44 children going there, and from the census, we're between 160 and 170 kids in the community, so not everyone goes there. It's centrally located at the school, where the arena is a bit outside of town, so it would be a little walk for them, or even across the street. But again, it's bigger than tonight's discussion of the school.
Yeah.
So, in summary, that's it. I do recommend, obviously, that we reduce our lease to library only at this point.
All right. I'd like also to, if council would be in agreement, to give an opinion whether or not they think the library cleaning, what they believe should be. Should we ask for an additional report, or are we ready to make a decision on that one? So as you give your comments, Councilor Framboise.
When is the contract due for the school boards?
So
Was it
it's March
December?
30, well, technically it's, was September 20th or something like that, where they agreed to, we're in extended mode right now, we're past the contract. More of concern is our contract with the tenants do expire at the end of March, and we're sort of in the notice period right now. The school is willing to carry over, but I would suggest that we work around a 3-month notice to a smooth transition if we can with the tenants. But that's the only issue that we have right now is it's due.
Yeah.
And obviously they're due, but renegotiating now, every year we renegotiate rent, so it could easily just raise the rent 50% and we will negotiate with the school. I don't want to do that, but
No.
It's a transition. The school, as like I say, is just waiting for us or go to contact AGFO and OCOF.
Just wondering, can we, because it's pretty much, the library is pretty much used like school base. Are we allowed to charge so many kids to attend?
Charge the school, you mean?
Yes, yeah, because I find the rent is pretty high.
We can open up
As
discussions
we
at
are,
this
like,
point.
it's being used pretty much, I'd say at least 60% or 75% school base.
I can ask if they're with, but as far as I know, the quoted rate per square foot is below their minimum level we do, because it is a shared school pace. That's what I was told in the past. And unfortunately, there is a seminar coming up about digital libraries. We do know that a lot of stuff is moving online. There's still a place for open books to read at night but we know that digital books is out there. How is the future going to affect this library? I don't know either.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, cause I was looking like that, we brought this up in September, like almost 5 months ago. And then we were all in agreement to maybe move the library to a different location to save money. I just, the
It-
costs,
Yeah, and that, I think that's why that's at the bottom of the, it's just that if we want to look at that, it's not gonna happen within a month or two. But cutting it down to, from 26 to 10 can happen. Short term, but I agree, long term.
yeah. So looking at the cash disbursement, the, January, February, March, is that part of it? Is that part of the fee? That, was 9,000,
Yes,
and it's so, they're paid for till March?
correct. They charge quarterly.
Okay. So, we are paid till March now, but, yeah, I honestly think the price is still pretty high and we need to look at maybe another
Okay.
area
All right,
for the library.
so, short,
Or to look at maybe like I said, it's pretty much school-based that they're using the library. I don't know, bring that forward to them and say like, what would happen if the library wasn't there anymore? Would they be using it? I don't know.
so are you in agreement to bring it down to just that 10,000 for immediately? Like, start the ball rolling for that?
So that's why I don't understand though, so we're bringing it down to 10,000, but we were already charged till March.
Yeah.
So what
There,
happens?
there might be an adjustment as they
Yeah.
charge at that time. And obviously, they're very kind to deal with, it's just, we just need to change the agreement.
Okay,
And they understand, once, when the mayor was there, we just laid on the table this, well, I think we're 70% or 60 to 70% English.
Yeah.
So we have to be fair to everyone in terms of.
but I
who
do
we
think
support.
if it's short-term, it needs to be looked at like
Yeah,
in a month or two, you know,
No.
like not,
to move the library?
yes,
Okay. And it's just by March, that, like, that's next month?
yeah,
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 so
exactly.
but next month, at least at that point, we can say, we don't want step one.
Exactly,
And then step two, we can look at the further down the road.
perfect, yeah.
Counselor, do you have any other comments? No. Counselor Loftus.
Yeah, I like the number 2 recommendation for just a short term. I like the fact that if we're just gonna rent the library space, that the school will be accountable and liable for their elevator, which has cost us a lot of money over the years because it breaks down all the time. Well, not all the time, but
And just say we changed to a local elevator company, our
Yes.
costs have come down significantly in terms of call-out rates. It's been good so far. I did ask the elevator maintenance person. He says it's in fair condition, but it's approaching its end of useful
Yes.
life, and we may expect breakdowns. Currently, it's in fair to good condition.
But I think, but by just renting our room like another tenant, the school would have to take accountability for their elevator. They would clean their hallways, they clean the washroom, they clean the common rooms, so the only thing, it would even probably be less time, even if we got a municipal worker to go, he doesn't have to clean every day at the library, he could clean once a week. Like, just, all you have to do is vacuum, and I mean, we could tell the library that, you know, you're accountable just for picking up or putting out your, I mean, it takes 2 minutes to put out garbage and stuff like that, so. But I agree, short term only, and then I think we need to look at possibly, if the school wants to keep the library, we can negotiate later. But let's get rid of that 26,000 and get down to 10,000 immediately, so that at least we have that, there's a savings there of like $16,000, so. almost 16,000, so. Number 2 for now, but with the intent to,
Move ahead.
look for another, maybe one of our if we move to one of our facilities, it's just the cost of setting up at a new facility also. Like, you know, we were talking about the arena. Does it have the internet for the computers and stuff like that? Like, the arena doesn't have very good service, does it, for internet?
It does.
It does now?
Yes,
Okay.
there's free Wi-Fi available.
Okay.
That is used by the public there, so I think it's fair. And it's, we're sharing all the same network. There's fiber available at the building, so if we
Okay.
need to upgrade to a full fiber line, it's
Okay.
available. The issue is we need a plan that is agreed by everyone, because obviously we need to know how big of a library, where it's gonna be located, and what has to move, or what has to be modified, which, at the end of the day, once we start talking, it's not gonna be
Yeah.
easy to fit.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
all right.
Short term for now, that's all. Number 2 for me.
Thank you very much. Councillor Potier?
Was there anything about number 4, for the cleaning? I
Well,
don't know if
this,
we've all touched base on that.
well, like I said, we,
Keep once a week is what
like,
he said.
the library, I mean, to vacuum once a week would be sufficient. You don't have to go there every day and clean.
We go once a week right now, though.
Is he going only once a week?
That's for the part,
Yeah.
that's $2,000 a year.
It just, that's why I say we were working on timing for staff, so that might be a bigger report encompassing the
Public work?
the Sawmill Bay Park and current public works, how they're playing the shell game, moving around.
Yeah, but 1.5 hours a week, is the employee not doing the whole entire floor?
Yes, but that is only strictly the library. The 1.5 is library, and I can get the numbers for the rest of the school. Because in the books, he accounts for the library separately than the school.
Okay, okay,
So, sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I guess for the library portion, I guess we'll have to wait for maybe a larger report. I'm in favor of option 2 at the moment. I am interested in moving to a shared space. We've seen in other communities where the library has put on programming as well. I don't think it's out of the question that with the incoming role of the programming coordinator, that they wouldn't be able to work together with the library as well as the director of operations and the facilities to put on the best kind of programming possible, right? So programming coordinator doesn't necessarily have to be always playing basketball or something. It could include something with the library as well, a little bit more on the educational side. So I think that would be a good long-term goal. Optimizing space in there. I know anything that you'd want to do on a second floor space, you'd be looking at substantial upgrades just because of the fact the elevator as well. I don't think that that's what we have at the school, but I don't think that was ever really fully sufficient in.
As it remains, just to add,
Yeah.
the elevator is, big problem is we have to walk into the ice rink to go upstairs.
Yeah. So.
It remains.
Yeah, and that's where I think if we want to look at that in the mid to long-term goal, I think we need to look at facility upgrades and possible additions if that's what we want to do. Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Lachance?
Yeah, I'm also in favor of option 2. I think, how we're gonna spend that money though, the savings, what we're gonna do and where we're gonna allocate it, I think we do need to have another meeting for it, because it would be smart to kind of keep that as asset management and throw it into what we're planning for the future. For 4, if it's only taking us an hour and a half per week to clean the library, I don't know if that hour and a half of work a week would be a big change or big addition task to the staff of the library, so maybe we can reach out to the board and just see what their comments are regarding that. Because again, it would still be a bit further savings, and if they have that time in the week, if they can find an hour and a half to clean it themselves, well, that'd be ideal for us.
Yeah.
And if not, we'll also have to see the director of operations input on that also.
Okay. So, anything else to add?
Well, I know eventually we're gonna be having discussion of what our future plans are for the location of the library and such. Maybe, we should, is that something this council's gonna wanna do? We're gonna have to start thinking of having a meeting to plan that shortly, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
If it's something everyone has appetite to actually consider discussing, we should, make sure that it's timely. I would be in favor of having discussions for that, in an upcoming meeting anyways.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So everybody's in agreement? Oh,
Sorry, I do have a question. I know it was a question in the past to relocate the pod in the library. Will that be happening or?
We're gonna start discussion right now, because if, I'll ask the school board if they wanna honor the space for the pod, because it is for a very specific vulnerable group. If not, then the library is the next logical choice to have that pod. They go there regardless to use the computers. It would just be, unfortunately, the pod was meant to be soundproof. It is not. But,
Yeah, okay.
It is
Just to
still,
keep it in mind, yeah.
it is still on the same purpose of why the library is there.
Yeah.
So,
is that used often?
it is managed by Katie at Enfant Partage, and I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes.
What's the, like, garbage and recycling, like all that from the library? Like, does that get picked up, or does it get lumped in with the school, or what, like, I just, if we're talking about the cleaning, if somebody already has to go there anyways to pick it all up, to put, to bring it to landfill, I mean, you're just sending somebody there to pick that up.
If you're renting from the school board now, it would be the building operator's responsibility to take care of the tenant's garbage.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Sure.
yeah, just if we're gonna put the hour and a half of cleaning on the library, well, did that include, that stuff being disposed of, so it's just, I mean, I think that should be included in maybe the discussions regarding the.
The lease.
Yeah, well, discontinuing the library cleaning, it's like, is that stuff included, or what was included there, just to make sure nothing's missed? Don't want stuff piling up in the library.
Yeah, but I think that would be a discussion for the lease to make sure that the agreement is that they pick up, we
Yeah.
put it at the door and they pick it up at night. So everybody seems to be in agreement to move immediately ahead with reducing to 10,300 for release of the library only. And we should be looking at what other options we have in the very near future. Okay? All right, thank you very much. Now, I can say this. Any items that somebody would want to have withdrawn from the consent agenda?
Yeah, no,
No? All right. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the consent agenda? Councillor Potier, Councillor Lachance?
Moved by Councillor Potier and seconded by Councillor Lachance. Be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby approves the items of the consent agenda under sections 5.1, 5.4, and 5.10. And be it further resolved that Council receives the items of the consent agenda under sections 5.2, 5.3, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, 5.8, and 5.9.
All those in favor? Carried. All right, now we go ahead to. Okay, we're good?
I
Oh,
see
powers.
that.
The battery died really fast.
Mine just died. Sorry, I apologize.
You need time to get your computer going again?
already has one.
Oh, I have.
Oh, you already have it, okay.
It's just
Come on,
to
man.
see everything. That's okay, that's fine.
Okay, well, if you have any questions, let me know, but you're starting up, right? Your computer, is it working still?
Well,
It's still on, but okay.
it's barely.
All right,
I will drink some juice for now.
Next,
Until I need it back.
next item, 7.11, resolution from February 4th, Committee of the Whole requesting donation of women empowering women. Mover and the seconder, please. Councillor Loftus and Councillor Framboise.
Moved by Councillor Loftus and seconded by Councillor Laframboise. Whereas the Sudbury East Chamber of Commerce will be holding a Women Empowering Women event on March 7, 2026 at the St. Charles Community Center. And whereas the Sudbury East Chamber of Commerce has submitted a request to council for the fee reduction of the rental fees for this event. Be it therefore resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles agrees to provide a 10% discount of the community center rental fees for the event held on March 7th, 2026 by the Sudbury East Chamber of Commerce. And be it further resolved that Council agrees to donate a composter as a prize for the event.
All those in favor? Carried. Item 7.1.2, resolution from February 4th, Committee of the Whole requesting a donation by the St. Charles Lions Club. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Framboise, Councillor Potier.
Moved by Councillor Laframboise and seconded by Councillor Potier. Whereas the St. Charles Lions Club will be holding a March Break Day Camp event during the week of March 16th to March 20, 2026 at the St. Charles Community Center. Whereas the St. Charles Lions Club has submitted a request to council for the waiver of the rental fees for this event. Be it therefore resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles agrees to provide one of the following options for the event held during the week of March 16th, 2026 by the St. Charles Lions Club. A 50% reduction of the hall rental fees for the St. Charles Community Center or the free use of the St. Charles Arena Hall for March 17th, 18th, and 19th, 2026. And be it further resolved that a condition of the reduction or fee waiver be that the event be solely for residents of St. Charles.
All those in favor? Carried. We are now at the bylaws, and this is where we have item 2026-12, the bylaw for Orange. So do I make a
You make
A motion?
a motion
Okay, I
to-
would like to make a motion to strike bylaw 2026-12 from the reading of the bylaws. I don't know if that's right. Yeah, that's good. Can I move, I'm the mover, a seconder, Councillor Lachance?
Moved by Mayor Bronconnier and seconded by Councillor Lachance. Be it resolved that the resolution be amended by deleting the following. Bylaw 2026-12 being a bylaw to enter into a company-approved helipad agreement with Orange.
All those in favor? Carried. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the first and second readings of the bylaws? Councillor Loftus, Councillor Framboise?
Moved by Councillor Loftus and seconded by Councillor Laframboise. Be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives first and second reading to the following bylaws. Bylaw 2026-07 being a bylaw to enter into a transfer payment agreement with His Majesty the King in right of Ontario as represented by the Solicitor General. Bylaw 2026-08 being a bylaw to enter into a transfer payment agreement with His Majesty the King in right of Ontario as represented by the Minister of Transportation. Bylaw 2026-09 being a bylaw to enter into a subscription agreement with eScribe Software Limited. Bylaw 2026-10 being a bylaw to enter into a grant contract with Ontario Trillium Foundation. Bylaw 2026-11 being a bylaw to authorize an alternative voting method for the 2026 municipal and school board elections.
Which is, sorry, bylaw 2026-07, page 490. The year is wrong.
We,
Just wanted to-
we have to first, accept first and second reading, and then when we read the bylaws individually, that's when we
Trying to make
discuss.
sure.
Or should we change it now?
You have to accept it.
Sorry.
You have to accept it
You
and
see it,
vote
Aaron?
if it's gonna pass or not as it's written.
Yeah.
They were
Big
seeing
unit.
it.
Yeah.
So what is the recommend, would we,
First and second.
okay, all those in favor? Carried. All right, can I have a mover and a second or third and final reading of bylaw 2026-07? Counselor Loftus, Counselor Poitier?
Moved by Councillor Loftus, seconded by Councillor Petier. Be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives third reading to and finally passes bylaw 2026-07.
Anybody have comments, additions?
Yes, there's a comment.
Just that one, the year is wrong.
Okay,
Just see.
so how do we,
So because it's
Proceed.
already, it was signed and submitted to the ministry in January, when you sign the year, you put 2025. I dated it 2026, so hopefully that counteracts the other. There hasn't been anything, there hasn't been any reprisal back from the ministry because this has already been sent.
okay,
Signed it early.
so we're good.
I think we're good.
Okay, so all those in favor? Carried. Can I have a mover and a seconder for third and final reading of bylaw 2026-07?
Zero.
Couns-
08.
Oh, 08, sorry, yes, you are correct, 07 has been. Councillor Lachance, Councillor Potier.
Moved by Councillor Lachance and seconded by Councillor Petier, be it resolved the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives third reading to and finally passes bylaw 2026-08.
Any comments or discussion? No, all those in favor? Carried. Next, can I have mover and a seconder for the third and final reading of bylaw 2026-09? That's e-scribe. Councillor Lachance, Councillor Loftus?
Moved by Councillor Lachance and seconded by Councillor Loftus, be it resolved the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives third reading to and finally passes bylaw 2026-09.
Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the third and final reading of bylaw 2026-10? That's to get in a contract with Trillium. Councillor Potier, Councillor Laframboise?
Moved by Councillor Petier and seconded by Councillor Laframboise, be it resolved the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives third reading to and finally passes bylaw 2026-10.
Okay, any comments? All those in favor? Carried. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the third and final reading of bylaw 2026-11 for alternate voting methods? Councillor Lachance, Councillor Loftus.
Moved by Councillor Lachance and seconded by Councillor Loftus, be it resolved the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives third reading to and finally passes bylaw 2026-11.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, next, we go into close. Can I have a mover and a seconder to
Twelve.
go into?
There's another one.
There's another
That
one.
was, no, that
No,
was
12 has been slashed. That's the one for the.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so can mover and a seconder, you guys just look for it, I can see it all in your eyes. Okay, can I have mover and a seconder to go into close? Councillor Loftus, Councillor Poitier.
Moved by Councillor Loftus and seconded by Councillor Putzier. Be it resolved, the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby opens a closed session at 7:20 PM to discuss personal matters about a identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees as authorized under section 239, bracket 2, bracket B of the Municipal Act as amended. Topic 1, error in 2025 OMERS contributions. Topic 2, ad hoc committee on human resources legal inquiry. Next, labor relations or employee negotiations as authorized under section 239, bracket 2, bracket D of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Topic, ad hoc committee on human resources legal inquiry. Next,
There's more? No? Okay.
next, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board as authorized under section 239, bracket 2, bracket E of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Topic, new litigation. Next, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose as authorized under section 239, bracket 2, bracket F of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended. Topic, ad hoc committee on human resources legal inquiry. That's done now.
Now we're done. All those, it was a little repetitive. All those in favor? Carried.
We don't have any information.
Yes, I do.
Okay, we're back live.
Okay, direction was given to staff. Oops, sorry. Oh, move in a second, but, move in a second or two. Councillor Lachance, Councillor Loftus.
Moved by Councillor Lachance and seconded by Councillor Loftus, be it resolved that having dealt with all matters pertaining to the closed session, we hereby reconvene the regular meeting of council at 8:15 PM.
All those in favor? Carried. Direction was given to staff as the next step to follow. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the first and second reading of the resolution bylaw? Councillor Poitier, Councillor Framboise.
Moved by Councillor Putzier and seconded by Councillor Framboise, be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives first and second reading to the following bylaw. Bylaw 2026-13, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its committee of the whole meeting held February 4th, 2026, and at its regular meeting of council held February 18th, 2026.
All those in favor? Carried. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the third and final reading? Councillor Loftus, Councillor Lachance.
Moved by Councillor Loftus and seconded by Councillor Lachance, be it resolved the Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of St. Charles hereby gives third reading to and finally passes bylaw 2026-13.
All those in favor? Carried. Can I move a seconder to adjourn? Councillor Lachance, Councillor Framboise.
Moved by Councillor Lachance and seconded by Councillor Framboise, be it resolved that the regular meeting of council of February 18, 2026 be adjourned at 8:17.
All those in favor? Carried.